Hi there. So I want to share with you part 2 of my story with Jeannie and Brad. And for those of you who didn't hear the first part, you can go back on my YouTube channel and look at part 1 with Jeannie and Brad. So Jeannie and Brad are friends that we've had, my husband and I have had for several years. And Brad had passed away after some gastric bypass surgery. Totally unexpected. Now, we had all been friends for several years, and Jody, my husband, had a stroke in 2010, and then he got diagnosed with lung cancer in 2014. So we knew that at some point Jody was going to pass, but we had no idea that Brad was going to pass. But Jeannie and I had been friends for several years, and so after Brad's passing, she called me up and she asked me if I would come over and help her put together a memorial CD with Brad about all of his pictures, and because I love making videos and presentations for people on CD and giving them memories of their loved ones. So anyway, this particular day, I decided to go over and help Jeannie put together the CD for a memorial service for Brad's celebration of life. And as soon as I got over there, Jeannie said to me, "Oh, Shay, I've got to share this with you." She says, "You're like the only one that would really understand this and really get this." She says, "But today I was just feeling really sad and really missing Brad." And she said that, my dad had passed away several years ago. And so every time I see a hummingbird, I always think about my dad. She says, "Today I'm standing in front of the big picture window in front of my house." She says, "And I'm just feeling really sad and I'm thinking about Brad." She says, and all of a sudden, this little hummingbird just came in and started fluttering around in front of her, in front of the window. She said she just started crying, and she said, "Oh my gosh," she says, Brad, is that you?" She says, "I hope you get to meet my dad." And as soon as she said that, the second hummingbird came. And so these two hummingbirds just sat there and fluttered around in front of her, in front of this big picture window. And she says that it was the most amazingly beautiful thing she had ever seen, and it just gave her so much comfort. Well, when she was telling me that day, that story, we both just start crying, because I do believe that our loved ones come back with us and back to us, and they try to communicate with us through different means. And I think Brad already knew that she was communicating, or every time she thought of the hummingbirds, she knew that her dad was nearby. So I know that Brad thought that that was probably the best way for him to communicate with Jeannie. And so that day we sat there and put together the recording and all of the pictures together, and what a beautiful, beautiful event. Well, then a month later, my husband Jody passes away. And I'm in the park and I'm walking and I'm thinking about this thing that Jeannie and Brad had this connection, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how amazing is that a hummingbird came to her and that made the connection. And then I thought, God, I wish that Jody and I would have talked about it, and we would have made some kind of a pact or a sign, instead if one of us passes away first, which we already knew Jody was passing, but we never talked about that. But I just kept thinking, God, I wish that we would have done that. And as soon as I was thinking that, all of a sudden I look over, and I'm walking in the park at this time, and I looked over and I saw a hummingbird flying, and I thought, oh wow, look. And then I thought, I wonder if Jody would come to me as a hummingbird. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, no, there's just no way. That's not something that he resonated with, or I resonated with hummingbirds. We never talked about it. So I just knew that that's not a way that he would communicate with me. But this is the kicker, and this is what is so amazing, because I walked about 10 feet further down the sidewalk at the park, and off in the grass I could see a little shiny object. And I thought, oh wow, I wonder what that is. So I looked down at it, and it was a disc. Now, in my mind, if my husband, Jody, was going to reach out to me in any way, to get my attention, it would have been through a disc, a DVD or CD, because I was always working with them and I was always making DVDs for people, and I used to shoot video for the Cell Club and make DVDs for everybody. So I thought, Jody, that's the only way he would have communicated with me. So I thought, I'm going to walk over to that CD or that DVD and I'm going to pick it up, and there's probably a message somewhere on that. So I thought maybe it's got songs or something on it. So I walked over to this disc, and when I picked it up and turned it over, handwritten on this disc, it said, "Life after death." Oh my gosh, my heart fell, because I knew without a shadow of a doubt that that was a message from my love, Jody, because it was so profound. I mean, what are the odds that I would get a message on a CD that particular day in that park when I'm thinking about my friend and the hummingbird that I had just seen? What are the odds? Well, they're not just synchronicities, because I know that it was truly a communication from the other side. So thank you for listening to my story. Namaste. I love you all. Thank you.